A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I know you've been enjoying the sessions. Let me read the energy in the room. Over to you, Objection, sir.
My only request to my panelists out here is please keep your answers short and not really long, like the previous one. So, Rohan and Ram Sahib, one question to you is, with the shift of spends now favoring digital more, how are agencies gearing internally from the TV dominant mindset to integrated planning and buying?
All right, if I may go, I think one of the core philosophies that, most of the agencies, and I'm talking here about us specifically, I think there is a shift between channel budget allocation to audience budget allocation. I don't think there is anything that is not available on digital, yet TV has its own charm. I believe there are fixed ad slots, and the reach is culminating very well. But the measurement, the getting your cohorts right, everything works very well in digital. So for us, it's an integration of screen agnostic planning that's working well. And if I were to keep my answer very short, we would rather be present where the audience is. It can be digital outdoor, it can be TV, it can be print, it can be online video, it could be short form, it could be influencer. Selection is just a function of this.
So in fact, the principle is same, right? When we look at from a coverage to a consumer, earlier we used to plan for the markets, right? I'll plan for West Bengal, I'll plan for Tamil Nadu, that's how we used to plan. Nowadays, we start planning for the audience. That's the advantage that, today's era has given it to us. And keeping the basic principle same, and we work towards, refinement and better value for the money. That's where the technology actually gives us an access to, deliver that to our brands.
Interesting. I'll tell you about Truecaller. Could you help understand about its awareness in India, acceptability in India, and what are the options for an advertiser to look on Truecaller?
Okay, first of all, thank you, Fourth Dimension, for having us here. That's a hard one to follow after Arnab. But just a quick reminder about what Truecaller does. We are a utility app that helps build smarter, safer, and more efficient communication. This has given us 450 million global users, out of which 300 million sit out of India. Just to give perspective here, India is believed to have about 900 million internet users, and 1 out of 3 users are Truecaller users. So acceptance is truly there. Awareness of what we do is there, because this is all naturally quite adopted and solving for a huge problem, a very rampant problem that exists. From the acceptability, we also have about 2,500 plus businesses who work with our verified services. So we're truly loved by India, and India's home to us.
That's interesting. I didn't know that the number was almost like 2/3 of your global subscribers are based out of India. Okay, coming to an advertiser now. So, Mr. Nandgopal, if you can help us understand, with the changing consumption trends, how finely are you slicing your media spends?
Yeah, with the increasing influence of digital and, of course, the changing consumer behavior, we have also recalibrated our media investment. So if you look at, there's an ATL and there's a BTL angle to it. And if you look at the ATL side, where earlier, it was 80-20 skewed towards traditional media, today that has increasingly moved to 40-60 for us, for our line of products. And within the digital stream itself, we all know that digital is a very fragmented universe. So we kind of focus more on search, online video, and social in that context. Now, 40% is moving towards the BTL side. So that's because, we have a lot of push categories. And so on-ground activation becomes important. So if you look at it at an overall pie, it's a 60-40 ratio between ATL and BTL. And within ATL, the construct and breakup that I given. And that's how we're looking at it.
Rohan, in absence of a single currency on measurement, how difficult is it to address the brand's reach and frequency with a consolidated view?
I think that continues to be a problem, being extremely honest in the room. We are a function of a very triangulated data technique, right? One is that our reliance on BARC. We heard a lot of news right now and, strong point of views. At the same time, there is second, which is platform-dependent data, what the Googles and Meta will give you. Third, independent partners trying to drive their own BLS. There is definitely a need for a single consolidated view, but I don't think it will be purely done because of some digital metrics at play, because unfortunately, each of these walled gardens operate differently, which you are aware of. And in that complex ecosystem, trying to make sense of what is absolute reach, what is unique reach, how many eyeballs have you reached out to, and then finally what's working, right? The hoarding could have played a major impact in your selection of the OTT show that you're going to watch. But in digital terms, it will say because you clicked on a show that, it will make sense. I think the industry needs one, but it will not be an easy problem to solve because there will be multiple nuances within digital. If you look at how the industry evolved, right? At one point of time, they used to say that impression is the ultimate metric. Then came click as the ultimate metric, then the VTR as the ultimate metric, then the dwell time as a metric, then viewability as a metric, and all the way now to attention as a metric. So we are saying initially impressions getting served were fine, and now we are saying the number of seconds that you are spending on the impression is important. So I believe it is going to continue to be complex, but along with many, and I think a lot of industry bodies also coming together to solve this. I don't know if it will just be a panel plus a digital data. Something should definitely turn around, and I think with all the minds between advertisers, agencies, partners, brands all coming together, we can attempt it.
No, it's actually critical also because today people who are actually browsing through reels and YouTube shorts. The funny fact is that a 0 second is the view time that is considered for it to be kind of accounted for as an impression. So those are the kind of challenges that advertisers are. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Ramsai, you have been a buyer for a long, long time. And how different is it as heading in or doing an investment into digital platform, given the fact that most of us have actually learned the methodology of buying television and print to start with? So how do you navigate that, and what are the broad differences, if you could just kind of highlight on that?
When it comes to completely buying, see, we are not buying anything which is like, we buy and then we fly away, right? So we buy and we continue to buy today, tomorrow, and again future. So we are actually reaching out to a consumer, right? Earlier days also we were doing the same thing. The method of doing was different than today's era. That's the very basic element of today's advantage. As I said that technology helps us to drive anything that is impossible to a possible in today's world. And from a mindset point of view, of course, the upskilling is definitely an important thing. I keep telling my own people that it's like when somebody goes into an examination, when they score 99 or 99.9%, and very next day they are getting into a job, and it doesn't mean they've learned everything completely, right? Their zero-based learning starts from the day one of their work. That's how that whenever any medium, any newer tech opportunity comes, that's what actually makes us to learn and to be paced up with it so that we can actually make use of those platforms, keeping the principles and ethical guidelines and the brand safe guidelines intact. We go and actually deliver the return for the brands. So I don't think so much of difference what we have been doing it, but now we are doing it in a better passionate way, and there are a lot of competition exists around us. If you blink your eyes, and maybe you will get vanished from this place. So you have to be awake and keep delivering. Your own benchmark becomes your own target for tomorrow. That's what it is.
Yeah, because one of the key challenges that one would anticipate coming on digital is also the fact that if there's something new coming in, there's no benchmark. Whereas, on television or print, you would always you will draw a parallel and have an analogy. On digital, it becomes completely difficult to kind of have a benchmark and then justify the rate that's coming in.
So my boss is sitting and laughing. When I said my own benchmark becomes my target, now he knows what target to give next year. He's sitting in the front seat and laughing.
Give him some relaxation. He's doing a good job over there. Mr. Nair, how do you evaluate options on OTT platforms?
Okay, OTT, I think, needs to be looked at it from a multidimensional lens, if you ask me. One, in terms of scale. So if you look at it on the live properties, marquee properties, AVOD platforms, that is one on scale. Second thing is, of course, precision. With programmatic buying and some niche content ecosystem, you have the ability to sharp a target. Third is premium associations like your SVOD originals, etc., which gives you the largeness for the brand, and there's a brand halo by participating in it, because these are very niche advertisers on these kind of mediums. But I think the fundamental fact remains that it's not about which platform, but it's about which audience, in what context, and where they are in the funnel, in the buying funnel. And so I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all strategy for OTT, but we need to think through in the context of the consumer.
Althea, we were having one side conversation a while back wherein I was telling you that I'm one of the few people who probably pays for the Truecaller service. And given, now that I know the maths, we have 300 million people and I don't know how many of them are subscribing. But on a broader perspective, do platforms like Truecaller and similar services, are they profitable in India?
So thanks to you, yes. Okay, so I just want to reiterate the purpose of Truecaller. It is committed to deliver trusted and safer services to both users and brands. And as a NASDAQ Stockholm listed company, we ensure the transparency and accountability. This has us driving quarter on quarter strong performance results and profitability as we go.
Rohan, in your opinion, do platforms like Google, Meta, and the other publishers, are they making money in India, or are they still kind of into that phase of investing and burning some money?
All right, I think starting off with Truecaller, profitable, like they mentioned. I think Google and Meta are definitely profitable at a global scale. I think one of the core reasons for this is, as consumers, a lot of information that we need is a function of the searches that we do, and they are the leading search engine. Let's talk about Alphabet, right? If you are, kind of reviewing A product versus B, or going on YouTube, they are present there. So a lot of consumption or the products that they have built is centered around how the consumer is moving on the online space. Same holds true also for Meta, right? The fact that we are addicted to reels and we are, there is doom scrolling happening where, it's like a never-ending loop of dopamine hits trying to give you the content, and we live in two algorithms. One is your own, which is our own, and second is what the industry is watching. And between all of this, products that are inherent to the consumption pattern of the consumers will be profitable. Like Google, I think the 2024 for Alphabet largely was about $350 billion. For Meta has been about $160 billion. So they are very profitable. But when it comes to a very diverse OTT space in India, with about close to 57 plus unique OTT players, the struggle is between subscription revenues to ad revenues. And finding a sweet spot has always been a function of whether in that month a content has helped you break the subscription barrier. Because, today people are not really looking at, I am subscribing to OTT A. I want to watch this content. And wherever that content is, if the subscription doesn't exist, then they will take it. I'm told that OTT is facing a challenge, but I believe every publisher in India is profitable because if it's able to channelize audiences in buckets that are relevant for marketeers. Scale may be a challenge for them. And as agencies, I would say that, maybe still quoting low, 50% of the budget going towards a Google and Meta, also for the kind of products that they build. With all this, I'm sure they are, and I think it's giving value back to brands, which is more important.
Yeah, I think it's given the fact that even Amazon has kind of started their ad feed right now. And I think globally they have partnered with Netflix now to share backend data to target audiences both on Netflix as well as on Amazon. I think, yeah, it's trying to kind of give back to the ecosystem and enrich the data. Coming to a scenario wherein we see phases of cord cutting and cord shaving, and the fact that appointment viewing is missing. People are actually watching content at their own schedules and other things. CTV becomes significantly critical in most households. And again, some of the conversations that I've been having is CTVs again started becoming like a community viewing. The handles have ended up being individual viewing. So from a CTV perspective, Ram, if you could help us understand what is your perspective, point of view on CTV and how advertisers can benefit from this particular medium.
See, end of the day, people keep, referring CTV, linear TV, and free to air. See, what is the objective is here? The objective is to reach out to the consumers. So we've got different set of audiences can be reached out through different, methods of the vehicles, right? Modes of the vehicles. So today's arena, when we are actually do as an investment person, so when we are actually using the linear television versus CTV, linear TV, we use them for the traditional way of, maintaining the complete top of mind recall. And then definitely the CTV gives us the cutting edge technology to, go and further deep dive into it and then do a sharp targeting and all. So, and also it allows us to, experiment and pilot some of the newer brands which are actually available in a particular segment of people or particular geographical limits. This is how these two actually, complements each other in today's scenario. And yes, it actually also brings television viewing into a different pleasure altogether because everything is on the button click away that, CTV people can actually access the contents of their own choice. So that's where, then today's scenario that where we have seen that, more than 6,000 hours of contents are being consumed right in a week itself. So that's not possible within linear TV where the linear TV has certain limitations over there. So this is what, I guess this 40 million CTVs are going to add more charm into the people's life.
So just kind of flipping the question now to Mr. Nair and Althea. What's the role of television in the current scenario for your respective brands?
I think television continues to play a major role. I think the definition of television probably has changed a little. I mean, if you look at linear TV, it still is one of the best mediums for mass reach. And when you go to the tier 2, tier 3s, and tier 4s, it is a very solid vehicle to take forward. And what is important is also television gives you that largeness. And so as a brand, if you're on television, you're seen to be big. I mean, you're seen to be, and for brand building, I think it's one of the best mediums because for storytelling, and to amplify your stories, you need the benefit of television. Now coming to CTV, right, which is your new, the extension of your television is become important, and it's what it enables you is to target your SECA premium audience, in the urban cities, because it gives you that leverage, and it gives you the leverage of, sharp targeting with digital measurement. So, and like Ramsay was just saying, I mean, that base is growing. Today, it's about 40, 50 million households. So I think it's, as a brands, what we need to do is to have a balanced approach, depending on what your objectives are, and how are you going to use both the televisions, if I may say so.
Althea?
So I'm glad you asked. My space is completely digital. But we look at television formats and how we could bring that into the digital space, considering that we are that handheld device and we're with everyone at any time. To just quote a few of the solutions that we have something called the masthead, which is a placement that is on an incoming unknown call. So it is positioned to give that attention and for a brand, and also have a user pause before they engage and move on with their call and the utility. Um, Playing in the space of visibility, awareness, and then if you want to kind of need the space, I would say, for creativity, we also do have a whole portfolio of formats that can even tell those stories. So, I mean, we invite challenges like television or CTV coming into it. I mean, no one can contend with television, but CTV has a digital angle, which we think, and we know that has a space where we can also be telling a story very relevant to the format as well. In both cases, they're not clickable, and that allows you to also build on that brand story that you want and the positioning that you have.
Just one question, I'll check with Rohan and I'll come back to you because you actually just triggered some thought in my head. Rohan, you are interestingly discussing about the challenges that some of these OTT guys are facing in terms of making money and all. Given that thread of thought, what do you think is the future of OTT platforms in India?
I think OTT is like the main dish now. I don't think it's a side dish anymore. And this I'm talking from an agency or a brand's perspective because there is investment going on these platforms. A short answer for that, what can OTT platforms do? Number one, a very hybrid monetization model, which is catering to the consumers, not necessarily by markets, but bite-sized because they can get in, opt out quickly because it's a function of content. Second, thinking regional. I think the OTT players, only about 50% is what maybe there is English content, 50% and beyond, maybe even 60% is regional content and Hindi and the other languages. And third, thinking CTV. I think OTT players need to have a CTV specific, package. I think the beautiful thing that's happening is, I don't think OTT is really killing TV. It's actually empowering TV that, what TV could never do before. The power of large format, at least 32-inch and above, and the measurability of digital, the power of cohorting, and then obviously dynamic content, understanding ACR, getting play, OEMs playing a major role, low cost of data, low cost of smart TVs, low cost of handsets, all coming together. We are going to be a market, and there are roughly about 600 million people who watch OTT content today. The numbers are a proof that this is going to be mainstream for us, and I think it should, and going forward will not only be a function of whether there is a cricketing event happening. Obviously there the investments get channelized, and they get channelized because the audience congregates there. It'll do extremely well for the brands, and we don't have to rely on the otherwise known two major walled gardens in India to be able to garner reach is what the future should hold.
Absolutely. Altha, just coming back to you, you did also touch upon some interesting formats on your platform. So two, three questions were just kind of floating in my head. One is, what are the typical challenges you face with advertisers? Second is, how does one measure success on a platform like Truecaller? And maybe if you could just give some use case examples, whether it's in examples from India or abroad, it would definitely help understand how we can kind of partner with Truecaller as a platform.
Okay, my answer might be more than 1 minute, but
I'm used to it.
okay. So, I mean, that's a tricky question about the challenges we face. I'm in a room full with advertisers. I better be diplomatic about this one. But I'll just say that challenges happen when one interacts. And I think there are ways that we have found to overcome and move on. Challenges can also drive a certain amount of innovation. And that's exactly what happened with Truecaller ads. We took real feedback from our partners and built out our whole full stack solution offering to them. I mean, I quoted some numbers earlier about the kind of reach and scale that we have. So we were typically known as being a brand, like a mass or a branding format, and at scale. We then built this out into more offerings for middle, your consideration buckets, where you have innovative plays other than display to kind of, tell a story, tell a brand story, something we could refer to as Truecaller Play. And then we do have the lower end of the funnel as well, where brands have clear performance KPIs, and we have different buy models that also facilitate this. And I have to thank the advertisers for actually pushing us in that direction. And now they have a whole portfolio that they can choose from. To give you a few examples that we worked with, so from the innovation portfolio I was talking about, we have something called Click to Experience. As the name would suggest, when you click on it, it opens a whole brand experience. We've had two categories similar in nature, handsets and telecom in India as well as Southeast Asia, who have used it for their launches and service awareness, and have seen how it stands out in a space of clutter, and it also tells a story that you need to as a brand. When I have to touch on the scale that we do and we have, in a day we can give you about 3 billion impressions, 160 million reach. To put this in perspective, IPL happens maybe once, twice, once and maybe twice in a year. And you get about maybe 169 to 170 million views. We can deliver that in one day. So you can get as large as that, or you can go down to the precision that we were talking about of talking to your very relevant audiences with our insights and our data ability. You can get creative, like I said, with our formats that you need. Also in the performance play, there are some partners in the room like TTK, healthcare and consumer, worked with particular cohorts that went after homemakers, mothers, to talk about their products, and it really successfully worked out for them. Additionally, we've got various other homemade Bharat brands with Usha, Havells, Orient Electrics, who are adopting these because they can see the precision that's there and build on their consideration models. We have the scale to even break this down to tier 1, tier 2, or South India alone with 65 million. I know I'm quoting numbers here, but it's just to give you an idea of what all we can do and how this can build out into various use cases and open that portfolio for you as you need and how you need. So yeah, there's a lot. I can quote a good few from the South, and I'm proud of it because I think the South as a region has always been very intelligent with how they work with media. They've taken baby steps, but when they take their step, you have a real strong partnership. Muthoot is another corporate that works and actually is very experimental in nature. And I just want to leave that on the table with all advertisers, is that experimentation is important. Allocate some budgeting to it, because that's when you discover things about what media can do for you and how your brand or service is doing out there. And there is loads of choice out there. And I think talking to publishers is the best way for you to maneuver through this landscape. Especially to understand it and do it on your terms, but engage, because that's the best way you know what's out there and can do wonders.
I couldn't agree less, because as a publisher, you would know the nuances of your platform and how things can get addressed out there. So
Absolutely.
I think it makes more sense for me to just come and throw a challenge at you and you help me with the solution.
Yeah, and I wouldn't put it on the agency alone to do that job, because they're talking to multiple, and it isn't fair. But that education is important, and I know we hound, but we hound for good reason. And as long as we can give you something and we have a solution for you, we'll keep hounding.
Absolutely. Interestingly, we still kind of talk about markets where you face challenges in terms of getting reach and other things. So one question, Ram, that comes to my head: are there any media dark markets anymore?
I've been listening this, ever since I started. When I started, only 73 channels. I started just 30 years back. So today we are sitting with 700 plus channels. And there are consumers across. To put it from a factual point of view, so we've got almost 320 million households, of which still 80 million to 90 million, which is comes under as in media dark markets. And having said 182 million households have an access to television where they actually consume linear as well as connected TVs and all. What does this 80 to 90 million people means to us? I mean, when you call them as a media dark, it's only when you are completely discarded from them, not able to reach them by all means, then it becomes a media dark, right? But today, that's not the situation with us. I'm taking a cue from, what Arnab has mentioned, right? Access of internet is not growth, but access of internet is an opportunity for the brands to reach out to those audiences, right? Those consumers. And that's where the growth will come from, right, in terms of the ADX. So today we have got such a 900 million plus internet users in India has given us given the brand to access all the consumers across various parts of the world. So to me, if you ask me, it takes extra pain and you will have to, identify the medium to reach out to them. To me, there is no, it's my personal opinion. It can vary from others. There is no media dark market. I'll give you one small example from ITC only. Each of all. You reached out, right? What you categorized, the people categorized them as media dark market. You've reached out to 4,000 villages, right? 40,000 farmers, if I'm right, the numbers. You are the better person to know these numbers. And likewise, we look at our own client, DS group, corporate. There are CSR initiatives that they do it, which is like nurturing the women farming community people, which is Farm Her. In the first go itself, we've reached out to close to 12 to 15,000 people where they've never had any base and means of television or a newspaper or a radio consumption, but they all had mobile. That's where it is, right? I mean, I can quote a lot of examples like this. Unilever reached out to people, which is like a case study for everyone, for us, which is Khan Kajura, right? There are ways and means to reach out to media dark market. But to me, there is no way. Everything is possible. That's what. You just join hands with the Havas, we will take you to the world.
That's a good one. बच्चे ने काम कर लिया. Okay. Now, Ram, just coming back to another medium now, which is print. We heard some of the things in the afternoon and some conversations that have been happening with regards to English print kind of taking a hit in terms of circulation and other things. So, broad question is, do you think print still has any juice left into it? And is there anything else that publications can do as an innovation on print to offer to advertisers as well as to readers?
So I must quote again. So I'll start from a very small number. 29.9, which is approximately 30 million newspapers are sold every day. That's like, it's like higher than your European country's population, right? So that's the power of print today, if I have to tell you. And second is, and again when I say that these are all certified numbers, which is like, June Audit Bureau of Circulation, they've certified these numbers. Is there a growth or not, Jayesh? Yes, there are about, compared to a previous season, 8,25,000 copies have been sold additionally during this period of time, which is around 2.77%, which is like huge number, right? In a print base. So what it tells us, print has its own relevance. Coming to that, is there any juice left? Since you said juice, do you love mangoes, Jayesh? Let me tell you why I'm asking you this. We were the first one to innovate for one of our clients, Swiggy, and the people of Karnataka, Bangalore would have definitely experienced this, where during the mango season that we've actually joined hands with our own print publishers. We brought out with photochromatic ink, where people actually, when they open the newspaper at room, they would see only the mango tree. The moment they expose that to a sunlight, they suddenly see the mangoes have been blossom without even being flowers being seen, that the mangoes have come that quick, that fast. That's what it is like. The innovation actually takes the messages to the people. And not only this, we have also, got into various, Fevicol has done, right? Where the physics, this is sensory. And even in Mango ad, we have put mango fragrance in the newspaper where it's lasted for, I think, sometimes one of my friends said it was there for almost 2 days. That's what it is. Like, it's a kind of sensory. When it comes to a physical touch and all, Fevicol, we all know that, right? So just they wanted to, demonstrate the hardness. They pasted 2 pages together, right? I don't know how many of you have experienced it. And when you try to tear it off, it was so hard to tear it off, right? That's the innovation, right? So to me, yes, print has lot of possibilities to, execute an innovation. It's the way that, what again, I only take cue from Arnab that, it's a cue of, idea that will actually bring all these things alive. We are the investment
we did
team.
hear that, right?
So we are the investment team. I think they should be given.
So, just a quick this thing, we keep hearing about the Gen Z audiences and other things. And again, they have different consumption habits when it comes to the, regular media and other things. So, Rohan, from your perspective, what are the broad changes in the Gen Z ecosystem, and how do we reach this TG from a media perspective?
Right. A, I think they are highly influential. B, either they are overpowering us or we are trying to explain them. I don't know what is working out, but I know for a fact that they look at more of open internet than the rest of the generations did. They are more they're more open to content driving their decision making. They are in this constant phase of active evaluation, looking at, what are the different touch points do I look at and then kind of ratify my purchase belief. So that is working. They have their own core beliefs and set of influences that they find as their North Star. I don't think loyalty is built immediately for them. But, this entire trend change, and I'm not even getting into the behavioral or cultural aspect that they exhibit, but purely from a marketing and decision-making perspective, I think they're very different. And what we are doing is to try and understand these, because the platforms change, the messaging changes, and also the way you approach them and the frequency greatly gets impacted. So we are definitely seeing a lot of change in the way we have to be preparing ourselves to be appealing to the Gen Z generation, and a lot of brands that we manage have a lot of Gen Z first audience as well.
Mr. Nair, last question from my end on the panel. Given that we keep hearing AI and tools kind of being used by most of the marketers in AI, what do you think is the role of AI in content creation in this fragmented digital world, and relevance of long-form content and increasing demand of video content?
Yeah, I think AI is a very powerful enabler in terms of content creation. I think what it has done is it has given us marketers one scale, because today the need and ask for content is so high. And with AI, you're enabled to deliver scale. Two is cost. At the fraction of a cost, probably, we have created so many pieces of content today, even as good as even films, which we're gone. And doing it at a fraction of a cost is what it would take, perhaps, if you go out and shoot and go the conventional way of creating that piece of content. Three, is it also, I think the other one is cost, one is scale. Then I think the other part is also that AI is, AI helps in a big way in terms of, reaching out to a mass scale, right? So it helps us in a big way to reach out to a mass scale. The fourth is also about personalization. It helps us a big way in personalization. So if you want to personalize your content, AI gives you that window. Now, quickly coming to long form, short form, I think, Jesh, that it is not about short form and long form. There's many a time I'll just take us 1 minute. There's many a time the concern that you need to capture attention in 6 seconds and all that. But trust me that we have created pieces of content which is more than 2.5 minutes, and we've had outstanding engagement. So I think it's about how, if you have authentic narratives, which is coupled with the purpose, the larger purpose of the brand, then consumers will lap it up. So I don't think it's that. And needless to say, today it's a day of video. I think statics are passé. Everyone wants anything and everything in video, so I think video will continue to rule.
Thank you. And with that, we kind of end this session after multiple reminders from behind. So thank
No,
you.
no, full marks to this amazing panel. And look at the passion. Look at that passion. That is why brands succeed with them, right? They all have flights to catch up, but they're unstoppable. Let me tell you, amazing, amazing. And to celebrate the wonderful panel and moderator, may I please invite on stage Mr. Ganesh Ram, MD and CEO, MF Utilities, to please join us on stage.